Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. A big welcome to day 2 of the 13th annual CUNY Accessibility Conference. Just a few house rules. First, ASL interpreters will be spotlighted for all to see, and users should pin them to your screen. Next, captions will be available throughout the conference, and you can access them through the CC button at the bottom of the screen. Finally, if you're having technical difficulties, please put them in the chat and someone will assist you. Now, this conference has been led by the hardworking staff on the CUNY Accessibility Conference Committee, and we send them a big thank you. We have had participants from across the state, the country, and the globe. The theme of this year's conference is the state of accessibility. Are we living up to the promise of compliance and the law? My name is Lenine Jacob. I am a disabled Latina woman with long hair, brushed to the side, and Black glasses. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I am a student at Bronx Community College. In addition to being a parent and an employee, I am also the chairperson of the CUNY Coalition for Students with Disabilities, CCSD, the representative organization for the more than 11,000 students with disabilities throughout CUNY. I am here today to introduce you to today's keynote speaker. This individual really needs no introduction, but I promise you all, I'm going to do my best to try and do her justice. She is a proud CUNY alumna, having earned a bachelor's degree from Brooklyn College in elementary education. She earned her master's degree from Columbia University in educational administration, and her doctorate from Michigan State University in counseling psychology. Being a lifelong learner, she has earned additional credentials as an educational leader through the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, and the Harvard Institute for Educational Management. Prior to joining CUNY, she served as the vice president and associate provost for student affairs and services at Michigan State University. Now, she currently serves as the vice chancellor for student affairs at CUNY, and we are so lucky to have her. At CCSD, we often like to think of her as our fearless leader in heels. Like Miss Congeniality, she has style, she has grace, she's a winner. She's the embodiment of what an intelligent, compassionate, and powerful woman in leadership looks like. She is intuitive and has a level of emotional intelligence that is nothing short of an asset.
SSB conference they do every year with all.
We often see how she carries her crown at both speaking engagements like this past weekend's 51st annual New York State Black, Puerto Rican, and Asian Legislative Caucus in Albany, or in her one-to-one interactions with the individual staff members and student leaders like me. CCSD is inspired by her intelligence, her leadership, and her kindness. She never misses an opportunity to acknowledge CUNY students, and CCSD students are no exception. She is our heart, and we are proud to have her as an honorary CCSD member. Under her leadership, students experienced paid internship employment through the CUNY Recovery Corps, a CUNY partnership with the New York City Summer Youth Program, or as we like to call it, the CUNY Accessibility Corps. Under the Vice Chancellor's leadership and with the outstanding staff facilitating our sessions, students with and without disabilities learned leadership development and appreciation of shared governance, disability identity development, as well as assistive technology training. We had an opportunity to work with and learn from some of the most influential and dynamic leaders we have right here at CUNY. Through this initiative, students gained valuable work experience. And even though it was virtual, we needed to dress professionally, be on time, meet deadlines, and treat each other with respect as students, colleagues, and friends. It was the first job for many, so we are thankful for the Vice Chancellor and her staff. We learned from some amazing VIP speakers, a proud disabled social media influencer, several CUNY vice presidents, members of the Chancellery, including former student trustee Giovanni Piquant, and campus disability service directors. That experience led several of us to employment opportunities, some of which include working in our campus disability service offices, serving students. Additionally, because of her and our amazing advisors, so many other students have been granted the opportunity to participate in shared governance. Having been nominated by USS, I am proud to serve on the CUNY Board of Trustees Committee on Student Affairs, led by this wonderful Vice Chancellor. Finally, it was under her leadership at CCSD, in coalition with our allies, students, faculty, and staff across the state of New York, that we were able to secure $2 million during a pandemic and in distance learning for enhanced funding for disability services statewide, of which we are humbly grateful. She is student-centered and always works diligently with an ethic of care and inclusion. These accomplishments are just a few of the many that have been had under her leadership. But that's what great leaders do. They create opportunities for those they lead to grow. They inspire those they lead to share their voice. And they support the causes that bring about positive change. She is that leader and looks fabulous doing it. Please join me in welcoming, as you're able, our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Dr. Denise Maybank.
Okay, I'm a mess right now. Really, I cannot believe that all of that was said and associated even with me. I truly am honored to have this opportunity to be with you all today. And to know that anybody's paying attention at any given moment to anything that I'm doing. That is amazing. And so, Lenny, thank you so very much for that very generous introduction. But I'm going to turn the tables because I need all of you to know about the greatness that just turned the mic over to me. And to recognize that our own Lenny Jacob was highlighted in the City and State Higher Education Power 100 list because she is amazing. She is doing all that students do while being a mother to an amazing son and making it work for CCSD as a leader in that process as well. And so we can't just move past who she is and what she brings to make things great at CUNY. Every time I see her, I just get excited and get encouraged. When I was inducted into CCSD, Lenine provided me with an umbrella that became my scepter. And it's just like, so we joke about the queen thing, but it's just the way she handles experiences and moments is always so encouraging for me. So I am honored that you introduced me, that you chose to talk about the things that you did, but I want you to know how important you are and how powerful you are. So thank you, Lenine. I really appreciate you. Okay, you can't do that. You cannot do that because I'm sitting here trying to keep mascara on my face and you already messed me up. So, all right. I'm here to honor the space that we're in today as we embark on, I believe it is the 13th annual Accessibility Conference with the theme of the state of accessibility. Are we living up to the promise of compliance and the law? And given that we're in Disability Awareness Month and paying attention to the things that matter most for students who come to make it happen in their lives and in the lives of their families, this is an extra special opportunity for me. So I chose to do a throwback kind of theme for my keynote. I know that I am among the amazing other keynotes that you have from President Wu and from the amazing and inimitable Dr. Christopher Rosa. So I'm going to do my best to bring some words to you and some thoughts for us to share that hopefully will make a difference as we think about where we are and what the state of accessibility services have become, because it matters to so many. So my throwback is to a series, a set of products, and a number of things that happened in the 80s and 90s. Some of you weren't even born yet, and I do realize that. But I want to talk about Transformers. I don't know if anybody out there remembers the Transformers as an animated show that came on, cartoon basically, or the actual figurines that were being sold. But Transformers were these individuals, I will call them, I'll do a little more explanation in a moment, that could go from being a robot to being a vehicle of some sort, primarily. That was what they were. There were also some that became beasts and animals and things like that. But the Transformers are living human-like robots with unique ability that allows them to turn into vehicles or beasts. And there are two sets of Transformers. There are the Autobots, and they're the good guys. And then there are the Decepticons, and you could just by the name figure out who they are. And so the leader of the Autobots is Optimus Prime, and Optimus Prime transforms into a semi-truck. But the thing you've got to keep in mind about Optimus Prime as an Autobot leader is that he believes freedom is the right of all sentient beings and is beloved for his compassionate nature, his steadfast leadership, and his heroic feats in battle. Some of the other Autobots are Bumblebee, who becomes the yellow car, Windblade, who is telepathic and is one of the female Autobots, and Grimlock, who is one of the Dinobots. and as a leader becomes a T-Rex. I know I'm giving our interpreter a workout here, so I'm just going to acknowledge her just to say thank you, because I know I'm giving you a run for your money this morning. And on the Decepticon side, the leader is Megatron. And Megatron becomes a tank, just rolling over stuff, just making it just go out of his way and just, being that person that is driven by a never-ending need for conquest and a desire to vanquish all who oppose him. And then one of the other Decepticons is Starscream, who becomes a jet. And so I hearkened back to the Transformers because for me, it points to that opportunity that we often encounter to go from one thing to another. And sometimes it may seem like it's a disguise that allows you to be in a space that may be different. So if you've turned into a tank and no one knows that you are in fact the leader of the Decepticons, then you might get access to some things that you wouldn't ordinarily. But when you know that you have the heart of the leader that is Optimus Prime, and you turn into a semi-truck to make something happen, and you know that it's positive, and you know that is going to make a difference in people's lives, it's a good thing. And we move forward. And so there's some transformations that I think we need to think about as it relates to accessibility. If we are to move beyond the legal framework of accessibility, we have to think about what it takes to help create understanding. Because we can't legislate understanding, no matter what the ADA laws may provide for. It can tell people what is expected, what is required, and what must be. But it is when we create understanding among all of the people who come together and share space that we find opportunities for change, for development, and for advancing technology and anything that is associated with accessibility. So there are 4 areas of transformation that I just want to touch on in my presentation this morning, and I want to then get out of your way. But I just want us to think about some things. So when we think about individuals, we often associate them with their circumstances. And I believe that circumstances become accomplishments. There is a quote by Henry David Thoreau that says, "It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." And people are not always just a result of their circumstances. Yes, their circumstances influence who they become and structure some of the experiences they may have, but that does not mean that is who they are at the heart of who they are. Because if that were the case, people who suffer great loss and serious things early in their lives might never recover from that. But there is a part of who they are that transcends circumstance and allows us to recognize accomplishment. So if I show up as the person who came from the poverty-ridden experience and didn't have a lot, but showed up in a space with you where you were able to interact with me and learn more about me, think of all that might happen in that process. I get to share who I am. You get to share who you are. We learn something and move forward. and I begin to accomplish more because I recognize the opportunities beyond my circumstance. So yes, I'm not denying from where I come. I am not going to put myself in the position of saying it didn't matter, but my circumstance can transform into my accomplishments because of all it has given me and all it has led me to. And that's our first transformation, that from circumstances to accomplishments. The next transformation I want to point to is that of challenge becoming change. When we are challenged, we recognize that there may be things coming at us fast and furious, and we don't know necessarily what to do with it. And we sit and we wonder, what is anybody expecting of me? I can't do anything with that because they're looking at my circumstances, I'm looking at my circumstances, and that's just not something that seems reasonable. It's a challenging time, it's a challenging experience. It's a space of challenge that I don't know I can overcome. But in the transformation, in the opportunities where we share space, time, and experience, we can recognize opportunities for change. Yes, the challenges will come. Undoubtedly, we will be faced with things that are hurdles in life that we don't necessarily believe we will ever get past. But change allows us that hope and that optimism that puts us in position to move forward. It is through the process of change when we can recognize that there's more available to us, that opportunity exists beyond the things that we may have seen in our immediate experience. One of the things that I heard Chris Rock say in an interview was, wealth is not measured in dollars, it is measured in opportunities. And when we can open the door to opportunities, we open the door to wealth and the creation of knowledge and experience and change. And so it is through that process that I believe when we walk in the space that is supportive of access for all, we create opportunities that lead to change. And that is a transformation we must honor, turning challenges into opportunities for change. The third transformation that I want to point to today is that of access becoming success. Accessibility is what we're here about this month, today, and for the balance of this week in terms of all of the things that you will hear. And when we think about creating access, creating opportunities that allow people to touch experience in ways that just an onlooker might not believe possible, we create the space for success. And we transform that access into success. Leveraging technology is about access being transformed into success. When I think about assistive technologies, I think about someone sitting and recognizing that, okay, just because a person may not be able to use their hands in the way that that others might do it to make something happen, doesn't mean that they can't do that particular act. They just need assistance in making that happen. And if we can design that assistive technology for that action, then we've created an opportunity for success. A transformation in what was into what can be and what can go beyond. This is not about legislation. This is not about someone saying that we need to make it accessible. It is about recognizing what it takes to make it accessible and acting on that. And that comes from the heart. Access to success requires someone's connectedness to another person. And it is in that process that we allow the opportunities for expanding what it is that we can do, what it is that others can do, and what ultimately will change the world. Access transforms into success because it creates opportunity. It creates the space that we need to be in, the mechanisms and the tools for those opportunities, and it allows us to see the capabilities and the competencies of one another. The fourth area of transformation is one that I believe in every day. And that is the transformation from surviving to thriving. We always think about, we need to do this to survive. It's like, if we don't get this thing taken care of, or that problem moved out of the way, or this challenge overcome, we won't be able to survive. Surviving, as Maya Angelou says, is important. There's no question about that. But thriving, she says, is elegant. And I love that quote. Surviving is important. Thriving is elegant. And that is our objective. It is the thriving we want to be certain we all have access to. We want to make sure that we are able to benefit from the things that come into our experience. We want not only to get past the hurdle, we want to turn that hurdle into the upward movement that gets us over it and on to the next thing as we roll. I love watching hurdlers in track and field events because it's about their timing. It's about the placement. It's about the movement. And it is about getting to the next hurdle. And so in that thriving, we know that there is more to come, that there's more that we can do, that there is more for us to show the world. And when we're able to do that and support others in getting to those places, we all benefit. Because it's not until you have accomplished what you are supposed to accomplish to be all you can be, that I can become who I need to be. We need each other. There is a symbiotic relationship that we have that affords us the opportunity to thrive. And we need to think about how we do that on a regular basis. I'm going to come back to my favorite quote. Some folks who were with us over the weekend heard it. It's another Maya Angelou quote, but I want to come back to that. I want to go back to the Transformers for a minute, because if you go to their website, if you Google the Transformers, you'll see a statement that says, that talks about the Transformers, that says, the stories of their lives, their hopes, their struggles, and their triumphs are chronicled in epic sagas that span an immersive and exciting universe where everything is more than meets the eye. And that is what we need to be about. We need to be about moving in spaces with the recognition that what we see is actually more than meets the eye. Because as we transform from circumstance to accomplishment, from challenge to change, from access to success, and from surviving to thriving, there's more than meets the eye. It doesn't matter who you see. It doesn't matter what you think about what you see. What matters is the makeup of that person you've encountered. And what you now need to do is to get in contact and in touch with that person in such a way that you learn who they are at the core of who they are. Because it's not what you look at that matters. It's what you truly see inside of them. And that's what we have to be about when we think about the accessibility space. So I haven't come with the hard message of what it needs to be in terms of compliance or law. I came to say we have to approach our interactions and our thoughts about making spaces accessible, opportunities accessible, and the future accessible by connecting to one another, by making certain that we realize there's more to us each than meets the eye. While you may want to get stuck on dissing the ability of our students with disabilities, there is more to be seen in each of our students than meets the eye. When I get to hang out with CCSD, I find the most amazing students and people on this earth, I believe. And we have to figure out how we connect and support and see those individuals beyond just what we may see on the outside. While you are focused on alternate means of mobility, that person is likely running circles around you, cognitively and intellectually. So don't sleep on them. You'll get whiplash in the process because of who they are and all they bring. Open up and you will want to make a difference. You will want to reach out. You will want to be better associated, acquainted, and knowledgeable about the issues that are associated with accessibility and how we can all make a difference. So as I draw to a close, and I'm watching the time, I have a quote from Vernon Jordan that I want to share with you. And it says, "You are where you are today because you stand on the shoulders, on somebody's shoulders. And wherever you are heading, you cannot get there by yourself. If you stand on the shoulders of others, you have a reciprocal responsibility to live your life so that others may stand on your shoulders. It's the quid pro quo of life. We exist temporarily through what we take, but we live forever through what we give. We have to be in the position to think about who we are for others, who we are in relation to others, and to think about how we make the experience of living and being one that embraces us all. And it can't just be about what gets legislated. It has to be about how we connect and make a difference for one another. So I'm honored to be a part of this accessibility message. I'm honored to be a part of what it is that the students who I've come to love and adore through CCSD say about who they are and how they come into our spaces and places and share in opportunity. I'm honored to be a part of that. I trust that we will find ways to transform those things that may work against us or appear to separate us into those things that bring us together and bind us to one another, so that we make life accessible for all. And the space that is CUNY becomes a space that embraces all of us in the ways that we need, because we all will need someone to help us at some point along the way. So thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. I am honored to be in this space with you. And I trust that as you go forward in the conference, that you will keep some of this in mind and think about who we are, what we bring, and how we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to this amazing, intelligent, and exceptionally cool Vice Chancellor Maybank. You were kind and inspirational as always. And before I tell all you Autobots to roll out, I just want to share a couple of quick reminders. Please join us, CCSD, and the powerful advocates from the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities, MOPD, and an accomplished CUNY alum and attorney this upcoming Thursday, April 14th at 1:45 p.m. for our presentation on getting things done in the name of a more accessible New York, the power of numbers, partnerships, and calculated planning. The next session today begins at 12 p.m. Please use the same link to join us. Thank you all, and we hope you enjoy the rest of today's conference.
Great job, Lenine.
Thank you.
Technically, we're still on camera, but everybody's leaving.
Thank you for letting me know.
I was in tears.
Very good.
The VC definitely got me there. Had to pull out the tissues and everything. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna close this meeting now because this doesn't work the same way that the normal Zoom works, where we could move people to the waiting room. But just use the link to come back if you'd like.
Okay, so,
Okay.
okay, all right.
Thank you.
Terry or Vic, can you close us out?
Sure.